there's electronics and there's a photo lab. Even though they were in the same spot, the same square, they were different jobs, and the photo lab people just did their stuff. And get to the prom part. Go fuck yourself. This is actually important. I'm setting some. I'm building up to it. Okay. So, I worked in the electronics department, and this girl that I ended up going to prom with was working in the photo lab. And I liked her a lot, and I had a huge crush on her. And she was a little overweight. I mean, she was considerably heavy. I think that's fair to say. But she was smart as fuck. And she had a ferocious kind of personality. It wasn't hostile, but it would, like, you knew she was smart, and she would get what she, like, she wasn't the type to back down easily from a challenge, you know? I respected the hell out of that, you know? And I just found myself, everyone's calling me a chubby chaser now. You guys are fucking dicks. I wouldn't say I'm a chubby chaser. No. I'm usually not into that. But this was a case where her personality just shone through so strongly that I honestly didn't care. You know? Her personality was just like a force. I know nobody believes me. Everybody still thinks I'm a fucking chubby chaser. John just likes them thick. Anyway. BBW lover. That should be my new alias. BBW lover. It's not John CJG anybody. Or anymore. Anymore, everybody. That's what I meant to say. So, I was crushing hard on this girl that worked in the photo lab behind me, right? And prom was coming up. I was in grade 12. This was past the point where I'd stopped giving a fuck about what people at school thought of me. Like, you know, because I said it was tough, like transitioning to a place where I had no friends and I had to start from nothing. And eventually I was just like, I stopped being so insecure one day. I think it was in grade 11 at some point. I was just like, fuck. I just thought about all the years I wasted feeling bad about being me, even though I had never done anything to hurt or upset anybody. And I was just like, why do I care? You know? I'm in grade 10 and I still care about this shit. Like, I have things to offer. I'm cool. I'm cool to hang out with. I don't have to fucking impress anybody. Like, I shouldn't be so worried about this. And I just stopped caring. And, so, by the time I was in grade 12, I was just like, I can't wait until this is over. I can't wait to be out of here. And, you know, because I knew college was going to be different. Even though it was still school, I was like, fuck, but I knew it was going to be different. So, like, anything's better than this, you know? The public school system. So, and because I was so bitter, I actually had no intention of going to prom in the first place. I was like, fuck, that's lame. Bunch of lamos go to that. Prom's for lamos. Even though I would totally go if I had somebody to go with, but I didn't. So, and I wasn't about to ask anybody because I wasn't nearly self-confident enough at the time. I was confident enough. Not everyone's making fun of me because of like I'm just boasting now. I'm saying I felt secure enough that I stopped caring so much about what other people thought, but I definitely was not secure, so secure that I had no problem with going up to a girl and asking her out on a date. That was still terrifying. It still is. Now, when I'm 30, that never really goes away. So, fuck. Where was I? So I had no intention of going to prom, right? But one day, there's this coworker of mine who's also a sales assistant at the electronics department. Works with me, and we got to be friends just because we worked together, you know? And we got to talking one day. We had a shift together that was pretty easy, not many customers. And so we were just like sitting around talking a lot, you know? Because there's nothing to do. And he was friends with the girl who worked in the photo lab, so he knew her as well. I was friends with her too at this point. And he had told me that I should ask her out to go to prom. She's like, you know, if you asked her, I think she'd totally want to go with you if you asked. And I was like, I don't know, really? And he insisted that I do it. I don't know what made him do that. I guess he liked me and he knew that I liked her, so I guess he just wanted to let me know that if I went for it and asked her out, she would likely say yes to it. So if I was thinking about it, I should just do it. And then, so I thought hard about that. And I was like, I got excited. Because it was like, wow, maybe she doesn't like me, but she likes me enough to like at least do this thing with me. Maybe. I mean, according to this guy. And I said, yeah, I guess I'm not going to try and, like, I have ill feelings about the whole thing, but I'm not going to not paint her as a demon here either. I'm going to try and be fair and objective about this as I'm recalling the events in my head here. So bear with me, okay? You guys still enjoying this? I hope so. I know I'm slow, okay? I need to think about this shit. So eventually I got it in my head that I would just do it. Like, fuck it. It sounds like she would be on board, and it would make me happy being with her. So fuck it, I'll just do it. Even though the prospect was terrifying, I thought, like, you know, I'm only going to be in grade 12 once. You know, I'm only going to go to this prom. There's only going to be one prom in my life. I might as well fucking do it. So I waited. I asked her while we were on shift together, which is kind of fucking lame. And I wish I'd had the balls to just like ask her out for coffee or something, but I didn't. So I waited until we were on a shift together. And I waited until the very end of the shift. Because I think photo lab and electronics department, they leave at different times. I think. Like the photo lab employees leave early, and the electronics to stay another extra half hour or hour to keep the department open. And so, God, I gotta stop looking at the the fucking chat. Someone CGI some tears coming from John's eyes. Oh yeah, great idea. Like After Effects tears, or just like a bullshit emoji tear just falling down. Um. So I waited until the very end of her shift. So she was about to leave. She was I could see that she was cleaning up her shit back in the photo lab, and like powering off all the photo analysis equipment, and like sweeping up, and like she threw all their garbage in a bag and tied it up and was ready to throw it out. And I was like, fuck, she's leaving soon. If it was that now or never moment where I was like, fuck, I'll just fucking do it, I guess. You know, you just walk in there with your fucking hand against the back of your head. You're scratching your hair like this, really nervously, hoping that'll fucking put you at ease. And then I got it out. I choked it out, even though it was stuttery and cringy. But eventually, I said, I flat out asked, like, do you want to go to prom with me? I phrased it that way. And by her reaction, I think she was expecting me to do it, and I think she was waiting to do it. Because I think somebody, perhaps the same dude who had suggested I do it, maybe talked to her. Like, at least made her entertain the idea, to put her in a way of thinking that, oh, he might do it, he might not, you know? So the possibility was there. And then I ended up doing it, so that might have been why there was a lack of surprise. And so then she says, okay. And then she pulls the garbage bag out of the plastic container. She ties up the garbage bag, ties the top in a knot, hands me the bag, and she says, sure, I'll go with you. Now, how about you do me a favor and take out my garbage? And I thought, I froze for a second, because it was really good that she agreed, but the implication that I was doing her a favor, or the implication that she was doing me a favor. I mean, if someone says that to you, right? Like if someone says they're doing you a favor, the implication, I think, is that they don't really want to be there doing the thing at the place, whatever it is, but they will do it because you asked. But there's that built-in, like, I don't really want to be doing this, you know, but okay. So, and boiling it down to like an exchange of favors where it's like tit for tat. Like, I'll go to prom with you. You throw out my garbage. I don't know. Maybe I found it kind of upsetting because I was kind of associating the fact that it was garbage, with the fact that it was such a pivotal emotional moment for me where I was facing rejection. And that it's almost like that's how she viewed doing me this favor, was just like the kind of just moseying over to the dumpster to throw out trash for the day, you know? Maybe that's the wrong way of looking at it, and it was just an unfortunate circumstance, because the fact is, she was about to leave, and she did need to throw out her garbage. You know, that is one of the things you do before you lock up and go. So I think some of that's just bad timing, you know. But it still made it that extra sad. It added that sadness to it, you know. Oh no, everyone's saying I got ultra cucked. Um, that's pretty funny though. It seems she didn't really give a fuck. I mean, you were both young. Yeah, that's true. Um, so I was like, okay, and I took out her trash, and I think I felt angry at the time. No, not at the time. At the time, I felt conflicted. I'll say that. I was happy, but the way she phrased it really bothered me. And so, um, ever since then, it was awkward because, you know, there was always that subtext whenever you meet after the fact that, yeah, I remember you asked me out. There's always that, like, you know, if you're looking at each other having a conversation about something else, you know they're thinking that you just asked me out the other day and we're like going to the prom together now. It's just fucking weird. And like John, how heavy are we talking here? She wasn't morbidly obese. Uh I would say more than thick though. It's hard to explain. Anyway, um so obese. She was fat. Yeah, kind of. She was like an athlete though at the same time. It was weird. Like she was a cheerleader and an athlete and a runner. Like I don't know, maybe it was something genetic or something. I don't know. Or maybe she just fucking ate a lot. I don't know. Glands. Yeah, who the fuck knows? I don't know. She was built. Yeah. I mean, we're not. I'm not talking about Mr. Strongman here or anything. But like, she had some muscle on her. You know. She wasn't frail. But so ever since that happened, I felt a little weird about it. Like between then and the actual prom itself, I was always like, God, why did she say it like that? That was so fucking weird, you know? Was she popular? Yes, she's very popular. Very, very popular. Um, what was I gonna say? Uh, John got ultra cucked by a chick with a dad bod. You guys always have to fucking phrase it like that, don't you? As brutally as possible. I'm gonna spend the time telling you this heartfelt story about my tragic past, and you're gonna make jokes like that. How dare you? Was she at least cute, John? You will obviously. I'm not attracted to ugliness. That's retarded. That's why we love you, John. Oh. It's the curse, isn't it? Um what am I doing? What am I saying? So she has a dress. I don't think she didn't buy one for the event, but she had a really nice dress that she had bought for a previous occasion. And uh, was just wanted to use it again. And so she told me her dress so I could get her the corsage, right? The girl gets her dress. It's whatever the fuck color, and the guy gets a corsage or a little flower thing that goes on her dress and is such a color that matches or complements the color of the dress she's wearing, right? So I got this corsage, and you keep it in the fridge. I kept it in the fridge to like preserves it or whatever. It's a flower, right? It's a real flower, so we know how proms work, John. Yeah, okay, so fine. I got that thing. Um, and so the day came. Uh, fuck, I'm trying to remember. At some point, I went on a cruise, but I think that was my graduation day. That wasn't the same as prom day. So prom day, not before prom day, right? She gets her dress. I get her dumb fucking flower thing. I get a suit, and it's way too big for me. It's so it's like drooping off me like wizard sleeves. Not quite that comical. I'm being a little cartoonish there. I'm just saying, it's evident that I didn't fill the suit. You know, it looked bad on me. There's something tacky about it that I didn't like. It was a little too black and a little too white. You know what I mean? It's just that the sharp colors and the fact that the suit was so fucking big. Um, I just thought it was stupid, and I felt increasingly insecure because I'm like, fuck, I gotta go in this. Like, I don't feel handsome or confident in this. I feel like I'm wearing a suit that's too fucking big for me. That doesn't look good. How am I supposed to feel good in that? You know? Anyway, so I got my suit, and I didn't have my novice license at the time. I didn't have a driver's license to speak of. So my mom had to drive me. Like, oh, it was so fucking lame. I mean, it's not as if it wasn't lame enough with like the fact that the suit was too big for me. But like, I didn't have my license, so my mom had to like drive me. I was in the back seat, and and we had to like go pick up my date. And so she was in the back seat with me. And you know, there's that cringy banter like, "Oh, hope you guys have a good time." And I'm just sitting there across from her like, I don't even know what to say. You know? I'm just at a loss for words. I'm cringing so hard. My feels like my spine's gonna fucking break. And we get to the school eventually, because I want to be the Chad Thundercock who has a license, who drives in his fucking convertible, and doesn't even park out, slide slowly. He just kind of swerves across the fucking lawn and grinds his tires into the grass and kicks up dirt all over the windows. You know, Chad, you're here. That's what I wish. You ready to go to the prom, babe? Anyway. So that wasn't what happened. It was much cringier than that. My mom dropped us off. What was it first? Fuck. I think we got dropped off at the school, I think, during the day. And school wasn't in that day, but we went to the school just as a meeting point. And then I think all the students, all the grad students, they're in their suits and their dresses, and they're getting on the buses. The school buses are loaded up full of these kids to take them to the place where the ceremony is at. Not the ceremony, but like the dinner, the prom dinner where the eating and the dancing happens, right? So I get out with my date. She looks really nice. I feel like a fucking dick. Um, we get on the bus. The buses arrive at the place. I can't remember where it was, but just like a little. It might have been like a golf course or something, but like in the building part of it where they have like a big reception hall with a bunch of dining tables and like a dance floor, right? So, um, uh, so we get to the place, get off the bus, we line up to get inside the place, and we get let in. We all walk in, we take our seats at the dining tables, and the whole time, she's not looking at me. She's like avoiding eye contact with me. And I remember at least a few instances where I would just look at her. She's not looking at me. And so I just kind of keep looking at her, waiting for her to catch my gaze. And she just doesn't. And at this point, I'm like, fuck, I didn't even do anything bad. I thought I was doing everything right here. And I don't know, maybe she sensed how afraid I was, how intimidated I was by her and the situation, and how I just felt like a cringy dick in my suit. And the fact that mommy had to give me a ride. And she just sensed my insecurity, and maybe she just got turned off from that point onward. But sometimes she would look at me and exchange words with me, but it was usually brief. And she just wouldn't look at me much. And she was much more interested in what everyone else had to say, and was always had her attention focused on everyone but me, pretty much. And I can't remember that I did anything to piss her off to make her do that. I think it was just that she lost respect for me. I don't know. Maybe my posture, maybe. Because I think if she tried to conversate with me, I would reciprocate. I wasn't that insecure. Maybe I was brief in my answers or something, but anyway, we're sitting at the table, our table. The students fill the hall, and there's some. So we're all having dinner, right? And there's no alcohol, so it sucks, right? Same with the after party. It's what's known as a dry prom and grad. So dry means no alcohol. It's bullshit. And so, no, I'm not holding back tears. I'm just fucking thinking. She was doing you a favor. Yeah, well, yeah, that's another thing, you know? But anyway. So we, everyone goes on the dance floor and we have our dance, and it's a little awkward, but we do it. I think that went fine. Fuck, it's hard to remember. Like we had like, I'm trying to remember when we had our slow dance, but I think it wasn't till I could be remembering this wrong. I really don't, but I can't remember clearly. But I think it might have been at the tail end of the slow dance part of the night. Like, fuck. Like it was about to end, and I had to like find where she was, and then I think I found her, and then I was like, "Do you want to dance before it's over?" And she was like, "Yeah, okay." Like, there's like I can't remember like if the slow dancing started. Like I probably would have gone up with everyone else, but maybe I was too nervous in the beginning to ask her. Actually, no, I would have just gone. I can't. I'm not confident enough in my memory to say either way what happened, but we did have one slow dance together, and it was kind of awkward, but that was fine. Um, and then um, it got to like the non-slow dancing part where the music gets more upbeat, and then everyone's kind of dancing around, letting loose, and then we didn't do much dancing at that point because I hate that shit. I won't do that. I won't jump around fucking like, doing the twist like John Travolta and shit, doing all those 70s pointing. Yeah, whew, yeah. Like that's not me. Um um so I remember I do remember feeling a marginally better going towards the end of the night. Um cuz this ceremony was over. I don't remember too much more about that. So the ceremony ends, right? We get back on the buses. Fuck, it's so foggy. I'm really trying to think. You know what? I was probably feeling mildly better because of the slow dance we had, but I think I was still confused and sad about why she was avoiding my gaze all day. I didn't understand why she was doing that. And so I think the bus ride home was awkward. I really can't remember it. It's a blank for me. But we must have taken the buses back, and so the buses took us back to the school. And from there, my mom picked me up again. Both of us. My mom picked us up and took us to where the dry grad was happening, which was the after party, which also didn't have any alcohol. And so I think part of the reason I felt better towards the end of the night was because I wasn't in my suit anymore. I could just wear casual clothes, and I felt a lot more comfortable. That suit was terrible. I just did not feel confident in that thing at all. And then, so I think we change out of our into our casual clothes at the school. And so we're outside in our casual clothes, and then my mom comes by. We get in the car. And then we go to the dry grad, which is the town rec center. And so in that rec center, they have a rollerblade arena. And for this night, they've turned the rollerblade arena into like an amusement park that has all these inflatable rides and attractions and obstacle courses and shit. Like one of them's like a laser tag bouncy castle. You go in with a vest and the gun, and it's like a thing, like a bouncy castle. You bounce around in it. And there's also the laser tag element, right, where there's like corridors. And one of them's like it's like thing you climb into. So one of the attractions was it was like a mirrored obstacle course where it was like one side was a reflection of the other, and so two people could go into it simultaneously, right, at either end, and it was a race to the finish. Like it would be the people would go through an identical route, come out at the top, and then there was a big slide that each person would go down, and they would go to the bottom, right? So that was one of the things. And so we get to the thing, and I'm actually feeling all right at this point, you know? She seems more upbeat. I feel more upbeat. Like, I sense that she's happier for some reason. And I'm like, thank God, you know? And there was one cringy moment that was my fault at this new place. Somebody who knew me exclusively had walked up to me to say hi, and I started a conversation with him, and we exchanged a few words, and then she was just kind of standing there staring at us like the third wheel, and I didn't introduce her. That was the problem. And eventually she introduced herself. She's just like, hi, and holds out her hand. And I'm like, fuck, I should have said something. I should have said this is my date, you know? So I screwed up there. Yeah, well, yeah, I know that kind of shit happens all the time, but you know, I'm trying to not minimize my mistakes on this night in particular, and I magnify the significance of making that mistake in my head, right? Because whatever. Anyway, so we're in this new place, and we're lining up to do different attractions. Another one was this. Another one was this thing where it's the same kind of thing where it's the same on both sides, but it was a different type of obstacle course where it wasn't really an obstacle course. It was you put this giant Velcro strap around your chest or waist, and that strap is attached to a bungee cord that attaches way at the back to the wall of the inflatable thing. And so you walk all the way to that wall, and then you hold this like Velcro beanbag in your hand, and along one side of each player's path is a strip of the corresponding Velcro that you can slap the beanbag onto, right? And so the idea is for each person to run against the force of the bungee cord pulling you back. And you run as far as you can, and you slap the beanbag on the Velcro as far along it as you can, and then the bungee cord at that point yanks you backwards, and you go flying, and it drags you, right? So that's what each player is doing, and each player is trying to get their bag further than the other players. And so me and my date, we did that, and that was fun. And then we got to this other fucking ride. So this is the one I was talking about earlier. This is the one with the tunnels where two players climb in, they do an identical course, and they come out on the top and they slide down. And the finish line is at the bottom of the slide, right? And you're not meant to wear shoes or socks on these things, right? I guess so. The skin and the oils on your skin will help grip against the fabric of the course that you're walking on, right? So, So I go in one lineup, my date goes in the other lineup, and there's two separate lineups for each entrance into the course. And then it's our turn, and we both go in. And so I'm racing through the obstacle course, climbing through it. I'm barefoot, right? And I'm climbing through this inflatable plastic stuff, like over walls and climbing through gaps that you have to kind of pry open. And there's like walls with like protruding plastic like nubs that you have to climb onto until you get to the top level. And then there's the slide that goes down. And so I get to the top and I slide down. And as I'm sliding, my right foot, the skin of my right foot grips the fabric of the slide, and my foot gets twisted to one side, and I get 3 ligaments torn on one side of my ankle. And I tumble down the rest of the way in agony. And I hit the bottom hard. And I'm on the floor just rolling in pain. Like I can barely, I'm not breathing, which is a problem. Like I'm just kind of like this permanently. And so then I'm trying to breathe. And I'm basically doing that Peter Griffin thing where I'm just like, And so everyone gathers around me. They're like, oh, shit. Are you all right? And I'm like, yeah, but I can't walk. I think I sprained it or whatever. I didn't know I tore ligaments at the time. It seemed at that moment as just a really bad sprain. So the staff came by and they asked what was wrong. I told them that I had a really bad sprain at least. And so the staff, they helped me up on one foot and they braced me and they helped me over out of the rollerblade arena into the corridors. And they sat me down against the wall. And a few of my friends and my date had come by and followed, because out of concern, I guess. And they said they called an ambulance for me. And they asked if I wanted oxygen. And I said no, because I didn't want to look like a pussy. I thought I was there wheezing desperately from an oxygen tank. It might look kind of pathetic. Even though, it would have helped me, maybe, But I think it was I say that because it was just I refused it. Not only because I felt I didn't need it, but part of it was just like a bullshit machismo thing where I was trying to impress my date. Like, I don't need oxygen. Fuck pussy oxygen. Oxygen's for losers. I refuse, yeah. It can't get any more pathetic. You already look pathetic. Oh, thanks, guys. Awesome. You guys are really fucking kind. Get that shit out of here. So the ambulance gets there and they break out the bed and they wheel it down the corridor towards me and they load my ass on it. And then my date asked me if she did ask me if I wanted her to go with me. So I have to give her credit for at least asking. But I sensed that she wasn't really eager to come with me. because the way she asked it, she was just like, it wasn't like, I'm coming with you. It was like, it was more like, so do you want me to like come with you, or it was like that. I'm not remembering it exactly, but it was more along those lines. You know what I mean? It's like, should I? Do you want me to go with you, or like, where it's like she's almost prompting me to like say, no, just stay. And that's what I told her. I said, fine, just stay then. Now, I wasn't begrudging either. I was like, no, honestly, stay. Like, I'd rather you like, you had a good time here, even if I'm not here. And to be honest, given how the evening went earlier, I got the impression she wasn't really having a great time with me anyway. So at least she'll have, at least you know, if I hadn't asked her out, she wouldn't be here at the dry grad, surrounded by a bunch of friends, people that she knows, at like a fun place with a bunch of activities. So, you know, it's like, well, at least she's here to have fun, and I won't be here. But whatever. I shouldn't have gone down the slide in the wrong way. I should have been fucking careful. I don't know why I mean, God, the fact I was barefoot was supposed to help me. Like, I should have just gone with my socks on, even though it would have been less grip. But then that would have prevented my fucking ankle from being twisted. And then, so she stays behind. And I get loaded onto the ambulance. And I'm just lying there. And the ambulance is driving. And I'm looking over at the doctor. And I'm talking about what happened. And the guy's just laughing. Just chuckling. And we get to the hospital, and I get brought out on the bed, and they wheel me right into the emergency room. They wheel me into the emergency room, and they put me in a little walled off curtain area. And I can't remember if they did scans on me in a separate room, but they wheeled me under an X-ray thing. They scanned my ankle, and then they wheeled me into a place where I was just waiting for the results. And so I was in this little curtain booth in a bed, just lying there, pissed off, thinking I could be there with my date right now. I actually felt bad that I was leaving my date alone at the place. You know? And, I just replaying what happened in my head and wishing I hadn't been so fucking stupid. And then, the hospital calls my mom, so my mom knows that I'm in ER, so she drives to the hospital. She walks in, and she pulls back the curtain, she sees me, she stares for a minute, and she immediately starts laughing. And I start laughing, because it is funny, you know. The last time she saw me, I was in my suit, all ready to have the greatest night ever, and then she comes to find me in the ER of the hospital with a broken ankle, lying there miserable, you know. So we both start laughing, and then, we wait around for the doctor. The doctor comes in, and the doctor's like, so we scanned your ankle. And they show me the X-ray. They show me the ligaments that have been torn. So at that point, it's clear this isn't just a sprain. You've torn tissue here that needs to be repaired. So we're gonna have to put you in a cast, and it's probably gonna take like at least 6 weeks to heal or something. I can't remember how long I was in that. I think at least 2 months I was in that cast. But I was in a cast. I got fitted. At that point, all I could think about was getting back to my date at the thing. I wanted to go back to the place while it was still, because it was still going, right? And there was still a few hours. Like, it was supposed to be an all-night thing. It's like it was gonna the dry grad lasts until like 5 or 6 in the morning. So so I wanted to get back there, and I said, "Can I leave the hospital today?" And they were like, "Yeah, we can give you a set of crutches," which was great. So they loaned me a set of crutches, so I could get out. So eventually, a few hours went by. I got described what was wrong with me. They gave me the crutches, and then my mom offered to take me back to the place. She was like, "Are you sure you don't want to just go home?" I think she said. And I was like, "No, I want to actually go. I want to go back to the ceremony. Please take me back there." And she was like, "Okay." And she drove me to the place. And I get out, and so I'm hobbling along on my crutches, bracing the wall when I can. Actually, you know what? I don't even think I had crutches at that point. Maybe it was at the rec center. No, what? I didn't have crutches. I got the crutches later. But I was so desperate to go back to the place that I offered to just hop on one foot. I was like, "I'll hop around. I don't care. I just want to go back to the arena." And so I remember now. So the entire way I'm bracing every wall, hopping on one foot, and I'm trying to find my date, and I'm looking around, and I find her, and she's with another dude. And I know this chick that I'm dating and this dude are good friends, and this dude just happens to be way taller than me, infinitely more muscular, and in an instance, I finally put it together in my head that he was the reason that she agreed to go with me to prom in the first place, was because she knew that this guy was there, and she could hang out with him, if not at the reception hall, at least at the arena for the after party, right? I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't want to be too cynical about it, but I think at least that was partly why she went. I think a big part of it was the fact I asked her. I asked her, and then she agreed to do me a favor, as she put it. But that guy just also happened to be there as well, you know? And then when I was gone, it was like she was just spending the rest of the day hanging out with him. And so I'm like, she's surprised that I came back. Like, she just assumed that I would just go home. Like, I spent so much time worrying about, like, oh, I bet she's worrying about me, or I bet she's like, or I don't know what I was fucking thinking. I don't want to make shit up, but it's so foggy at the same time. I just remember getting there and feeling really sad because I knew that she might have had a crush on him beforehand, and basically seeing them together in that instance kind of confirmed it for me. And then I started thinking the worst at that point, and I was like, well, maybe she just came because of him. And in general, I just felt that she didn't really care about me or what happened to me. She seemed very disinterested with me throughout the whole night, to a degree that I think is unfair. And so I came back, and she's kind of in disbelief, but she was like, "Okay, so you want to follow us around, I guess?" And so I'm hopping around from one chair to another, watching her and this other fucking dude go on all these rides together. And she's like, here, hold my purse. Like, you're not doing anything. I'm sitting there with, like, bags draped around me and shit. Because it's like, well, John can't fucking walk. So, just, he's the stuff watcher for tonight. You know? People leaving their wallets with me and shit. And so, and all their fucking glow rings. You know? Teenagers, they all have glow rings. And so I have a bunch of glow rings hung around my neck. People who just draping them around me. Like, hold this while I go on this fucking ride. So I'm just watching them having a good time. Trying not to think about the pain I'm in. And I stay there for hours. I don't know why I didn't have... Well, I felt like I couldn't call my mom to have her pick me up early because it was in the middle of the night. So I wanted to wait until, like, you know... My mom's usually up pretty early anyway, so 6 in the morning. It's a bit earlier than she would usually get up, but it's fine because it's the morning. It's not too outrageous. And so she agreed to pick me up the next morning at the place when the sun was up. And so I remember, so the sun came up and the event inside was ending and we were all walking outside, and she didn't help. She didn't offer to help me, like, even over to the railing to where I could wait for the car to park. Like, she was just like, is it cool if I go home now? Like, we're outside, and she's just like, she wants to leave. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, I guess. This is cool. Hanging out with you. I can't remember what I said. I mean, I know I was ambivalent at that point. Just like, I'm sorry for being stupid, but at the same time, like, fuck you for, like, you're using me to get closer to him. Like, she knew that I really liked her. That was why I asked her, and she knew that. So, like, I mean, she couldn't have predicted that I was going to go to the hospital, so I don't think she had this master plan where she was going to hook up with that other dude in the end, but what I do recall is a lack of consideration from her for me in general, where it was more than noticeable, I would say, and it did upset me. And the fact that she couldn't even offer to, like, brace, like, if I couldn't just lean against her shoulder so she could help me to the parking area to wait for my mom, I thought was lame. She just decided to take off, and she got a ride with someone else. I think that dude, you know? And there was no room for me. Or maybe there might have been, but I was like, well, my mom's coming to get me anyway, so I'm just, like, we agreed beforehand that she was going to pick me up in the morning, so. So she just took off and left me there, and I'm just waiting at this railing on one foot for my mom to come by, just feeling like shit. Utter shit, you know? And then she came by, and my mom parked. She helped me into the car. We drove home. I lived on the second floor of my house at that point, so I remember hobbling up the stairs. And I climbed pretty much straight into bed. Lifted my foot up onto the mattress. Went to sleep. And then I woke up a few hours later, and my foot was in agony. Like, I think it was the pain that woke me up. It was so bad. And that wasn't even moving. Like, it was actually 10 times worse if I were to move or try and get off the mattress and walk around, because all the blood rushes to your foot, and then it really hurts, right? But even in bed, lying still, looking up at the ceiling, it hurt so fucking bad that I remember I had these. But before I left the hospital that night, the doctor had given me these high-strength painkillers to deal with the pain, and I left them on the bedside. And then when I woke up, I reached for the pills, and I couldn't reach them. And it hurt too much to move. So, like, I'm trying to reach for the pills, and they're just out of reach. And whenever I'm trying to shift my body, and I'm wincing in pain. And at that point, I start tearing up because I'm just overwhelmed with how badly this night went. And I'm like, you know how people say, like, there's a benefit to a positive outlook because, like, if you do positive things, you feel a positive way, people will pick up on that vibe and have a tendency to do nice things around you or for you. And in that sense, having a positive mental attitude can influence the world around you to a degree, you know? And then when you're in a bad mood and you close yourself off, people sense that, and then they behave differently around you and conduct themselves differently around you. And then maybe because of your negligence while you're in a bad mood, you screw something up, and then there's a butterfly effect from there where it ends up ruining your day, where in such a way that it wouldn't have been ruined if you had a positive mental outlook at the start of the day, you know? But I was thinking in this day, like, I went out at the start of the day with the most positive attitude I think I could muster. I was insecure and I screwed up a few times, but I wasn't mean or in like I never shut down. I was always willing to have a conversation with her if she would just start one with me. And I felt terrible. And I thought, man, I just wanted to have a good time. Like, grade school was bad enough, and this is the end of grade school. This is supposed to be a celebratory moment, and I'm in more pain now than I've ever felt. And it sucked. But like I said in the other time that I told this story, it was a transformative moment for me because that was when I started getting deep into internet culture because I was on my ass a lot. So for months I was in a cast just looking up YTMND and shit and Newgrounds and 4chan and YouTube. Back when YouTube was a thing, and it was really interesting at that point, you know? Because that was the point where TV was still the mainstream, right? And I started, and when was Reddit? Reddit might not have been till later. But I started learning about all these internet cultures and subcultures, and I found it just fucking fascinating. And I remember that really opened my mind up. Like, I was discovering new genres of music, too. Like, I was exploring the internet because of my immobility. I was exploring the internet to a level of detail that I hadn't before. But I was already really fucking good with computers, so I knew... I knew computers, and I knew how to build computers at that point, and I played around with a lot of software, and I was animating shit, and I was programming shit, but the internet was still very mysterious to me, I think, at that point. I mean, I knew about shit like Newgrounds beforehand, because I remember being on Newgrounds and watching, Superfly and Frank's Adventure and all this Newground shit, Stick Death, and fuck, what else? Reddit was 2005. Okay, so Reddit was just being a thing at that point. And Moon Man, yeah. And all those YTMND memes, NEDM and shit like that. I was learning about all these online pranksters and this internet like absurdist humor, and like it was just really fascinating because I don't know, man. So I spent a lot of time doing that, and I don't think I would be so versed in internet culture if it hadn't been for that moment, you know? So it was just one of those moments that where your path deviates considerably, you know? And I don't think it was my fault. It was just unfortunate. But I think that girl could have been more considerate towards me. And I think that even if she wasn't having a good time, I wasn't doing anything to upset her. So I think she could have just done me the courtesy of putting a smile on her face for the night, you know, making me feel wanted. And I didn't really talk to her since then. And so that was that. That was the story. I hope you enjoyed it. The greatest story never told. It's not even that good of a story. I mean, it's boo-hoo. I tore 3 ligaments. Big deal. It was painful. But I do recall it as a particularly heartbreaking moment, so, you know, take it or leave it. That's what fucking happened, okay? I'm sorry there weren't any dinosaurs in it. Or fighter jets. The fuck you gonna do, huh? What you gonna do?